What's up, everybody, and welcome to another Kinstretch class brought to you by Stretch Effect. My name is Coach Luke, and I'll be taking you through today's 30-minute spine-focused Kinstretch class. So we're going to be focusing on the spine, but primarily the thoracic spine, so that's the upper back. So you have about 12 vertebrae from back here, all the way up to the base of your spine. It's called your C7, which is about right here. So this whole area is the focus of today's class. But we are going to look at spine as a whole as well. So we're just going to start with our cervical spine collar, so you can stay in collapsed quadruped or collapsed kneeling. If you want to sit on the block, that's more comfortable for your knees, for your ankles. You can certainly do that as well. You can sit on the block over there. You can stack 2 blocks. We're going to go arms down on our sides, fists down to the floor. I'm going to think chin to the chest. We're just going to start with 2 cervical spine rotations. Chin to collarbone, as far as I can go. Look over my blind spot, ear over the shoulder. Rotate chin to the sky, ear over the opposite shoulder, chin to the collarbone, and rotate. Let's go one more time in that same direction. Here, rotate, chin to the sky, keep reaching down, ear over my left shoulder, drop my chin, rotate through, and reverse. Chin to collarbone, left ear over left shoulder, chin to sky, right ear over right shoulder, chin to collarbone. Last one, stay tight, arms stay locked in, squeeze those armpits. Keep that body tension and make sure nothing else moves except that neck. Chin and through. So we go right to our, it's called our linear spine collar, our cat-cow. You guys seen that before. We're going to do our segmental cat-cow. So if you've done the class with us before, you know that it's not just a kind of gross spinal movement here, but it's about moving one vertebrae at a time. From flexion to extension, and then from extension back into flexion. We start at the tailbone both times. So we're going to think arms under the shoulders, knees right over the hips. Think subtle tension at the shoulders. So think kind of spread the floor a little bit, just give your arms something to do here. I'm going to think press all the way up. So I'm grabbing my back through my shirt, tucking my tailbone, taking my chin to my chest, and I just want to get this good big spinal kind of curvature over the top. And then from there, I'm going to start just to my tailbone, and then think just untuck the tailbone. Keep everything nice and still. Try to only start untucking at the tailbone, and then you're just going to slowly work your way up. Keep everything else flexed until it's time to move. We're just going to work extension of the lumbar spine. What about TL junction? So right now we're getting the thoracic spine. Right about the rib cage here. So keep everything flexed until it's its turn. Now we're thoracic, we're mid-thoracic, about chest level. Keep going, keep pressing away from the floor. Don't squeeze those shoulder blades. Keep working the extension. Try to lift that chest. Lift the chest, lift the shoulders, lift the collarbones. Now we'll go cervical extension. Down to full extension. From there, start the tailbone again. Now I'm just going to untuck the tailbone, tuck the tailbone. Start flexing just at the tailbone. Work all the way back up into full flexion, one vertebrae at a time. Don't be in a hurry here. Everything extended until it's turn to flex. Now we'll work all the way back up into flexion. That is 1 rep, that's the speed that we want to go in. We got one more time here. Tuck that tailbone under you, tuck that chin, untuck the tailbone, 1 vertebrae at a time, nice and slow. Just try to keep it only at the segment that you're focused on. Try to put your mind in the segment that you're trying to move. Imagine you've got a bunch of little brains in there, each vertebrae. Keep that connection. The better you're connected to your spine, the better you can move each individual vertebrae, the better your spine can distribute load, and the less risk you'll have of spinal injury in any activity. Okay? Keep pressing away from the floor, more in extension, lift that chest, keep arching that back. There, just tuck the tailbone, and then slowly work your way up, all the way back into flexion. Nice and slow. All the way. Keep tucking, 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 driving up, 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 squeeze it, and relax. Very good. So that was our global or our linear spine. So now we're going to go into thoracic spine. So if you have blocks, I recommend you grab them. We'll use them to help us create tension, just create a little bit more force. So if you don't have blocks, you can use a pillow. You can use something that just allows you to kind of get a good squeeze of the body, right? So I'm going to be collapsed kneeling, so I'm kind of sitting on my heels. If you want to squeeze the block between your legs, that'll help give you more tension in your adductors. If it's uncomfortable to sit on your heels, you can use this block and sit on. You can sit on the block by placing it on the side or flat on the floor. So we're here, so we're squeezing there nice and tight. Take this block, I'm going to squeeze it right at my rib cage. So my sternum's about right here, so I want the bottom edge of this block right on the rib cage. I'm going to go here, wrap across, squeeze it nice and tight, squeeze that block nice and tight, and then tuck the tailbone just a little bit. So that puts us in what's called lumbar flexion. So it really biases us to not move our lumbar spine when we do these exercises and just move our thoracic spine. Okay, so we're going to do 3 reps each direction, really slow. Okay, so this should be painfully slow, not actually causing pain, but slower than your body and your brain want to move. So I'm going to flex over the bottom of that block. So I'm going to pull my ribs down, pull those elbows in, pull that block in, so I'm in thoracic flexion. From there, I will rotate one direction as far as my body allows me without losing the tension on that block between my legs. I will laterally flex. From there, just like we did the cat-cow, spinal extension, one vertebrae at a time. And then extension, some slight lateral flexion. Now extend over the top, keep that tailbone tucked under. Lift that chest over the top, laterally flex here. So now I'm just flexing my left. Right shoulder will come across, laterally flexed, rotated, pull those elbows in, and through. So that was 1 rep, T-spine rotation. We're going to do 3 and then switch. So here, rotate, keep squeezing that block, keep tucking your tailbone, keep squeezing the block to your legs. Laterally flex, super slow while I'm laterally flexed. Segmental extension, so lift 1 vertebrae at a time, just like we did those cat-cows. I'm still tucking my tailbone while I'm trying to lift my chest. Chin stays in my chest. I'm extended over the top. Lateral flexion, rotation, pull those elbows in, flex, really feel that stretch on the top of your back, and through there. One more time, I'm going to go from the side on this one, just so you can kind of get a good visual from the other angle. Okay, so I'm here, up, tuck my tailbone just a little bit, squeeze that block, 1 more to our right. So chin in my chest, thoracic flexion, rotation, from there, flex to my right, stand 1 vertebrae at a time. So see how my lumbar spine is relatively straight. I'm just trying to lift my chest, pull my chest back, while continuing to try to flex my lumbar spine. I will then rotate over the top, laterally flex to my left, take my right shoulder across my body, squeeze that block in. Now flex, rotate to the center. Again, chin would stay in my chest, but because I'm looking at the camera, next going to be a slightly different position. Okay, so I'm going to stay in this position. I'm going to go 3 to my left. So I'm going to do my first one, facing here, and then I'll face you guys for the last 2. Squeeze that block. Squeeze, tuck that tailbone, chin in the chest, flexion, so tucking, 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 rotation, lateral flexion, keep everything else nice and still, segmentally extend, just like the cow, the cat-cow, lift that chest, over the top, laterally flex, rotate, and through. Got 2 more reps there. Go at your own speed. Try not to necessarily match my speed. If you go slower, by all means, be my guest. The slower the better here. We got 2 more reps. Chin in the chest. flex that spine, rotate to my left, laterally flex, really feel the stretch through here, feel the contraction on that left side. Extend one vertebrae at a time, get tall, tall, tall. Laterally flex to my right, rotate, in, through. One more time, now that we're here, rotate, squeeze out a little bit more rotation. Lateral flexion, squeeze out a little more lateral flexion. Squeeze that block to your knees. Extend, 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 tall, tall. At the top, rotate, flex, get a little bit more. Left shoulder, rotate, cross, elbows pull in, and through. Very good. That was a high level thoracic spine car. We kind of see the connection of why we did our cat-cow first, right? In the segmental extension. Take that same segmental extension as you come into the extension aspect of that thoracic spine car. Very good. So from there, let's go back to our cat-cow. Let's do another 2 reps of that segmental flexion extension. Now that we've done some thoracic spine cars, just see how everything feels. Really focusing on just kind of getting the most out of each individual rep. It should be slow here, so if we put a clock on this, it should take about 30 seconds or so. I mean, you can go even slower than that, but about 30 seconds each direction. So flexion, extension, extension, back. So it should take about 2 minutes here to knock out 2 reps. Okay? Should. Just like, again, go 5 minutes if you want to, right? So it's up to you. Slower the better here, because that means you're really focusing on full control of. Down a little bit, go, tuck, set up the body, set up the position, tuck that tailbone, tuck that chin. From there, I will work into extension, starting with the tailbone, one vertebrae at a time, stay flexed, extend, nice and slow. Pressing away from the floor, make sure your shoulder blades don't squeeze together. That would be faking thoracic extension. It's very easy to do, trust me. Lift the chest, lift the chin. 1 half rep, extension, all the way back to flexion. Tuck, 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 all the way. Up mid back, keep tucking, driving, 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 all the way through, squeeze those glutes, pull the ribcage in, and down. Woo, breathe, got 1 more each way. Untuck, 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 keep tucking, keep your untucking I should say. Super slow, keep pressing away from the floor. Try to stay flexed as long as you can. Extension. Tuck that tailbone. 1 more time back into flexion. Breathe. Breathe. Tuck. All the way back. Tuck, 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 tuck. Round out. Squeeze those abs. Drive that back higher into the air. And relax. Very good. So, should all a little bit differently, just at the beginning of the class. So first time you're just kind of, even though if you've done these a lot, first time you're getting back, first time you're doing the class, it's kind of rebuilding that connection, just kind of syncing everything up. T-spine rotations really gets everything moving in a rotational sense, and then come back to those cat-cows and just kind of feel that connection a little bit deeper. So that's something that we, highly recommend you do on a daily basis, right? A lot of times in training, a lot of times in fitness world, we're afraid to move our spines. Although you do need good core stability, you need to need the ability to create tension in your body and stabilize your spine while you're moving. You also need the ability to be able to segmentally flex and extend your spine, because when life takes you to those positions, which they inevitably will, you want to be able to, like we said earlier, distribute force among your spine, right? So if I can get a good extension, if I can get a good flexion, I'm now distributing force evenly among those vertebrae versus moving through, say, one or two specific vertebrae, which can't possibly take all of that load into one segment. So when the load does go into that one segment, which we call hinge point, that will eventually lead to injury. Not saying it will right off the bat, but over time, as the load builds up, as the capacity degrades, that's when some bad things can happen. So from there, let's just get into what's called our collapsed quadruped, which will be just our thoracic focused cat-cow. So you can sit on a block if you want. Just want to be in a position here where I'm just like I would be here. Then I'm just going to sit back on those heels. So again, just like we did for the T-spine extensions, really focusing on sitting back will kind of take our lumbar spine out of things and then allow us to kind of get in a position like this. So now my lumbar spine is in some slight flexion, and then my thoracic spine really has the ability to just kind of focus on one segment at a time from this position here. So, big breath, relax, arms out front. You can go arms out front there. Really, I mean, there's all different positions you can train from. We're going to go just about, 6 to 8 inches in front of the legs, arms slightly outside the legs, and again, just a little bit of tension in the shoulders. So you can try to pull the mat apart. Not like you're trying to rip it, but just subtle tension to pull it apart. That gives my shoulders a little bit of tension, so I'm not tempted to squeeze my shoulder blades together when I come to the thoracic extension. Because again, this type of cat-cow, thoracic extension, I want to try to lift the chest, lift the rib cage, lift the collarbones, and not necessarily just squeeze my shoulder blades together. Which, if it's the first time doing it, if you're quite new to this, it'll feel, yeah, I'm getting extension, but then you're just squeezing your shoulder blades. So press away from the floor, and then try to dissociate shoulder blades from the spine. Take some practice. It's going to take a lot of practice, but again, this is why we recommend you do spine stuff every single day, right? It's not like, lifting heavy, where lifting heavy you want to, lift a couple times a week and give your body a chance to recover. Although recovery is important, movement is how we recover most efficiently, and that's really what we want to use to create better bodies, right? So move every day, move that spine every day, more the better. Twice on Sunday. Here we go. So we're out front, tuck that tailbone under you just a little bit, so sit on those heels, and then we're going to go into what's our thoracic cat, right? So we're just here, driving my back through the shirt, pressing away from the floor. Continue to drive up. Now here, breathe. Big breath. And from here, it's going to be hard, but we're going to go from a segmental cat-cow. So we're cat, segmental cow, so start at the lower spine, or lower T-spine, I should say. And just try to keep pressing with the floor. Go into your thoracic cow, which again, we're not going to have much T-spine, especially if we don't do these a whole lot, but just generally with a lot more lumbar extension and flexion capacity than we do for thoracic. That's why we're working on it, right? So we're just going to lift the chest, lift the collarbones. You really want to try to feel a stretch, feel a contraction through the mid-back here. Okay, so the more we can kind of get our brain in those segments and squeeze them. Again, not squeezing the shoulder blades, keep pressing away from the floor. Lift the chest, squeeze. And from there, let's just go segmental, back into the cat, sorry. Those animals. Here, chin the chest, flex that thoracic spine, and breathe. Okay. Start lower T-spine, so about here, and we're just going to work all the way back up into our cow. Pull that that chest up, and squeeze the shoulder blades. Be able to squeeze on the back side, between the shoulder blades. Muscles along the spine here. So we're just trying to pull, squeeze. And then for the lower T-spine, start flexing. And just drive one vertebrae at a time back into our cat. That's 2. We got 5 reps here, going super slow. Not doing a whole lot of different things today. We're just really getting into the nitty-gritty of spinal motion, and specifically thoracic spine. Start lower T-spine again. Slowly just work your way up. Lift the chest, lift the collarbones, try to point the logo of your shirt straight ahead in front of you. Out moving your arms, squeezing your shoulder blades. Lift, lift, squeeze. Start lower T-spine again, start flexing. Feel it moving. We're breathing through this whole thing, right? The more you can relax, the better you can get airflow, the better the movement's gonna be, okay? It's 3, we got 2 more here. Feet are uncomfortable, ankles are uncomfortable again. Sit on the block if you need to. Every rep, try to get a little bit more connection. Lift a little bit more, squeeze a little bit more. And don't move those shoulders, just lift the chest. Back, squeeze, breathe. Flexion, one vertebrae at a time, squeeze out more, squeeze out more. Good work, we got 1 more rep here. Really squeeze that flexion. Spine should be nice and warmed up now. Last one. Here. Work. Focus. Tension. Just want to go fists. Lift up a little bit more. Don't squeeze those shoulder blades. Keep pressing, spreading the floor. Lift that chest, arch that back. Last one. How about you? Don't get some pops. Good pops on the T-spine. Opening up ranges, moving into places that you don't typically do a whole lot, right? This is why we're doing it. It's a great exercise if you sit at a desk a lot, sit in an airplane. Do a lot of travel. Very good. Yeah, so you can shake that out for a second here. And then we're just going to go back to a tall kneeling thoracic spine car. This is the last thing that we'll do today. Closing up. So we're going to do 3 reps each direction. We're going to go from tall kneeling. So we can squeeze the block now from the side. So now it blocks in its fat way, right here, this way, versus there, versus here. So now squeezing. Again, just like earlier, I'm going to go 3 reps. We're going to alternate sides now. So I'm going to go my right, go my left, my right, go my left, my right, go my left, and we're done. So bottom of the block, kind of where, you know, where these letters are, right on the top of my rib cage, right on my sternum, right on top of my sternum here. Squeeze those glutes, so pressing the glutes forward, keeping that tension the whole time. Squeezing the block, again, because we're not going to be sitting on our heels in this case. It's going to be more likely to want to get more lumbar motion going on, which is not terrible because the spine functions as a unit generally anyway. But again, we don't want to be back here, right, arching the lumbar spine super hard. So I want to keep squeezing the block, keep squeezing my glutes, and just work from about rib cage up. So imagine from about here down, it's just in a bucket of cement. Everything else is nice and tight. Okay, so from there, squeeze that block. Squeeze glutes, You want to tuck your toes under or untuck them, whatever's most comfortable for you. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the block, chin on the chest, thoracic flexion, rotation, just keep squeezing that block between the legs, lateral flexion, extension. This should feel a lot more connected, a lot better now that we've worked on it for about 25 minutes. Lateral flex, rotate, flex, through. Again, if you want to switch your arms too, that may feel a little foreign to you, but it may feel like you need it, right? So I'm gonna go back the other way. So flex, chin stays in my chest. Rotate, keep squeezing that block between your legs. Lateral flexion, one vertebra at a time. Extend, keep squeezing those glutes. We don't want to flex, extend the lumbar spine. Lateral flexion, rotation, elbows pull in, and through. Switch, 2 more each way. Rotate, flex, extend, get tall, flex, rotate, through. Arms, you don't have to. Again, this is what I'm doing in this case, because I usually just go one configuration of my arms here. So I'm flexed. Rotate as far as you can. Keep squeezing the block so your hips don't rotate. Try to squeeze out a little bit more. So at the end of class is 4. Now that the body's nice and warm. Addressed a lot of spinal components today. Try every single time. Squeeze out a millimeter more. Even a centimeter if you're really crazy. You feel like you can get more out of it. So really kind of focus this last rep. We got 1 more each direction. Try to squeeze out as much as you can. So really squeeze that block tight. Really squeeze this block and your arms tight. That's why we're squeezing this here, so we can really focus on this motion without the legs moving. So you're doing it tighter you can. Tuck those toes, squeeze those glutes, get a lot of tension going on inside of those thighs. Big breath. Last one here. Squeeze that block. Chin on the chest. Thoracic flexion. So you can get a little bit more here. Rotate, 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 rotate. Flexion. Extend 1 vertebra at a time. Keep squeezing those glutes. Over the top. Rotate. Flex. Come through. Last one. Squeeze nice and tight. Far as you can go. Lateral flex as far as you can go without anything else moving. Extend 1 vertebra at a time. Get tall. Over. Flex. Rotate. Pull those elbows in. And relax. Woo! What about you? My spine is feeling amazing right now. So like I said earlier in class, right? Global or the linear cat-cow, that's segmental. That's going to be one of the best things you can do for not just your spine health, but just the health of the rest of your body, because your spine is what houses your nervous system. But the thoracic or the rotational spine cars are something that I recommend you do every single day, just like we did here. So you can start a little bit lighter. You can sit on your heels. You can go tall kneeling. There's varying levels, varying intensities. So I recommend definitely doing them at not a low intensity every single day, but then every so often work in those higher intensities, try to push the boundaries of what you're capable of doing, the pain-free capacity, of course. So spinal motion is huge. We don't get enough of it in our daily life, especially if you sit at a desk, especially if you have a background like me in weightlifting, where it's all about keeping everything still. So continue to try to work on it, continue to try to squeeze out more range of motion in a healthy, safe way, of course, and keep hitting those cars, keep doing what you're doing, keep training up, and you'll keep seeing the improvement. So thank you for joining me in today's 30-minute spine-focused Kinstretch class with a T-spine emphasis. Hope to see you at the next one.